We are continuing a conversation that we started about his career, nursing. So today we are talking to nurses in Kenya. So if you're a nurse in Kenya, this is for you, or if you're an aspiring nurse in probably nursing school, this is for you. So in this conversation, we're going to talk about the process on how to come here as a nurse from Kenya to America. So here is someone in the field, and we are really gonna borrow from you, Zeb. So welcome once again. So tell us what it takes to become a nurse from Kenya to here. So what do you need to do?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, because so many people are writing to me and sending messages saying, hey Zev, I'm a nurse in Kenya and I would love to come and practice in US. Mm-hmm. So to practice in US, generally it requires the person to do what we call NCLEX.
Yeah.
So NCLEX exam is like a state board exam. Mm-hmm. There is no NCLEX for entire US. NCLEX is based on every state.
Okay.
So if you were in California, you're gonna do NCLEX board for California. Or you can do what they call compact states. Compact states are states that they work together. They agreed to work together in that compact state. So if you did your NCLEX exam in Arizona, mm-hmm. then you can practice in New Mexico, you can practice in Iowa, you can practice in Kansas, you can practice in, I don't know Kansas, you can practice in Texas, and so many other states. There are so many, about over 20 states that are compact states.
Okay.
So the main idea we're discussing is doing NCLEX, mm-hmm. which people normally go to South Africa, they can fly to India to do that exam, and once you do that exam, then you can look for hiring agency in US mm-hmm. that can help you process your papers and everything.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this exam expensive? How much is it?
I wouldn't tell you exactly the price, because I don't know for sure how much it costs at the moment, but when I did exam, and this was in the United States, mm-hmm. so it was about $200. I don't know when, if you are doing the same exam in Kenya, mm-hmm. if they charge differently for people who are in Kenya because they are doing it in a different country. I do not know, but I believe it's not. I wouldn't expect them to be charging $500. That would be ridiculously high. Okay. I don't think so. Okay. But it's something that individual who is aspiring to do NCLEX exam can find out, mm-hmm. maybe Google, or see what they can do, or testing centers, or people who have done it that way, they can also help them.
Okay.
But the most important thing is not how much, but the desire to do it.
Okay. So how much did you pay when you did yours, so that we can get like someone who is watching at least a little range of probably how much are we looking at?
It's probably gonna be misleading. Like I said, it was about 200, but I don't think
it's about $200. So that's
that
about
was then, yeah.
20,000 Kenyan shillings at least. That's the minimum.
And that's why I say if it's 500, it will be ridiculously high. I don't think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
but it's something to confirm.
Okay. So how is this NCLEX exam? Can you tell us like what type of questions, or what's the structure? How do you pass it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you went to school in Kenya, sometimes the way things are done in Kenya is done with the idea of passing exam. Mm-hmm. That is not the same case with NCLEX. Mm-hmm. You can pass your NCLEX, you can pass your nursing school, mm-hmm. and fail to pass NCLEX exam. So it's so tricky. You need to really study the style of they call NCLEX testing style, because they test the critical thinking. How you can handle situations like, say, let's say in the event of a cardiac arrest, what do you do as a nurse? Okay. Because this is something that is so
It's life and death.
life and death, and it's going to be an emergency. So you as a nurse, you need to take action to save this person, because if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then that person will die. So the NCLEX will bring questions in a way that test your ability to address emergency situations or things that are, unusual, and address the problem. And the thing is, I can give you a good example.
Sure.
And I know I'm talking to nurses, so these are people who are already aware of what
Sure.
I'm talking about.
Sure.
Because if I talk using
Terms, terminology,
terms,
medical terminology.
you will understand what I
Okay.
mean than any lay person can understand.
Okay.
So let's say you find a patient, a question can come that way. You find a patient, your patient has history of diabetes, and this patient is unconscious, diaphoretic. What are you gonna do as a nurse? And that's how the NCLEX is trying to find you.
Okay.
And then choices. So the exam would have choices, and then the choices would say, call the doctor, give the patient IV glucose, give the patient orange juice, do the finger stick
To
or
find out
point
the
of
numbers.
care. Now you will be thinking, now this requires your thinking, because now what am I going to do? Can I call the doctor? The patient is unconscious, diaphoretic, what am I going to do? So, and this person will catch you because you already know this patient has history of diabetes. So what you will do now is to do the assessment. You need to find the numbers. So you start with the assessment and then do the intervention.
Okay.
You cannot do intervention for what you don't know. What about if you are given sugar or whatever, the IV glucose, and the patient is not actually hypoglycemic? It's probably something else that is making the patient unconscious. Yeah, so you need to do that assessment, and that is how they test you. They really try to see if you are capable of understanding what to do in an event. So another thing that can come in that same question, they can test you, like say, hey, you find a patient, is diaphoretic, blood sugar is 40, and those numbers are US numbers, not Kenya numbers. So 40 is already hypoglycemic in US. And the patient is conscious. So diaphoretic, conscious, blood sugar is 40. What are you gonna do? Do finger stick?
Those are the multiple choices.
Yeah.
Finger
Don't
stick.
give finger stick, IV glucose, call the doctor, or give some orange juice. Very tricky. All answers are correct. But if you want to eliminate this, you're gonna say, hey, can I do IV glucose? No, the patient is hypoglycemic, but he's conscious. The patient knows, can talk to you, is okay. So he said, if he's conscious, then you can do oral sugar. So you see, that's how they catch you. You have to have knowledge, and you have to have the critical thinking part, which sometimes misses in our Kenyan system, because even in primary school, we don't teach our kids to have that critical thinking. We only want to know the answers and answer the answers
correctly
without really knowing why and how and what to do in eventful situations.
So it sounds like you're saying what they are looking for in this exam is, it's not what you know, it's how you apply
the knowledge
to what you know.
Exactly. So the application is the mother of all things. So for somebody who is in Kenya and wants to come and work in US and do everything, I would tell you that do your assessment. Don't go and waste your maybe cold water. You're gonna spend a lot of money, because if you're gonna fly to India or fly to South Africa to do your NCLEX, then you have to study before doing that.
Okay.
And preparation for study is not the Kenyan style of passing the test. No.
No cramming.
No, it won't help you. You need to do the study. If you see the answer given and you see the answer is B, then you need to find the rationale.
Why did I say it is B?
Yes. Once you get that rationale, like I gave about example about the hypoglycemia situation, you need to find out why did I choose to do the finger stick. It is because I don't have the numbers. I don't know the numbers. I don't know for sure that this patient is hypoglycemic. So I need to confirm that before I do the intervention.
Okay.
And then for the second example that I gave, I would choose to give orange juice because this patient
is
conscious, so he
have
can
the
swallow,
numbers.
he can follow commands. And because the assessment has already been completed, so I know this patient
the numbers.
is hypoglycemic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But if this patient was unconscious and is hypoglycemic, then I would do the IV glucose.
Okay.
So that's how
that's how NCLEX is. Like
that's how I just gave an example. There are tons of them, like for every situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many questions are there in this exam? And it sounds like you're saying the structure is multiple questions.
Yes.
And how many questions? How much time do you have?
Sometimes when it's crazier is when it is select all that apply. So you're not gonna choose one answer. You're gonna use maybe 5 of them.
And then you fail.
And they are so confusing that you can choose one wrong one and you wrong the entire question. So with NCLEX exam, they have I would say is about, if I still remember, I think they are about 300 questions. If it's not 160, I don't remember well. It has been a while. So, but this is how they test you. You don't have to do the entire questions.
Okay.
So you can do the first. So the system is computerized. It tends to read your understanding so fast. It's like human brain. Okay. So if you wrong, then the screen will shut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it has already concluded that you don't know what you are doing. But if you get it right, by the time you are at 60% and everything is right, the screen shuts.
Oh, wow.
Because it has already determined that you know what you are doing.
So it's possible for someone to get less questions and the other person will have more questions.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
But you're not going to be graded, of course. NCLEX is not based on grade.
It's just pass.
Pass or fail.
Oh, okay.
So if I did 150 questions and you were lucky you did 70, in the long run we are all the same.
So what's the passing grade? Do they have like a percentage?
You won't know.
Oh, okay.
You won't know. The computer determines it.
Oh, and then they do ask random questions from every
topic? They test all areas. They test you maybe about the infectious diseases. They can test you on geriatric, meaning older people. They can test you on pediatric. They will test you on OB, women OBG. They test you on so many areas. They test you also on critical thinking. They will test you on
the application, like you talked about.
So many
things. Apply
things.
your knowledge.
Yeah, and also they do the knowledge application, whereby you need to understand the human anatomy and stuff like that.
Do they test on ethics and morals?
They do that.
Okay.
They do about, you need to know about the autonomy, all those things, and anything that has to do with ethics
and privacy and all that.
All that. So they test you on those things, and you need to read far and wide. I've had experience with some nurses telling me that, hey, when I came from Kenya, I did NCLEX and I didn't pass, and so many of them will have that problem, difficulty. If you relied on Kenya, because Kenya can get you through nursing school, but it won't give you a license because you can't pass a licensing test. if you are cheating throughout.
Because you're in an exam room all by yourself, no phones,
Yes.
nothing. It's just you and a computer.
And no leakage.
And I think is there like
A camera?
a camera? Yeah.
There is somebody sitting there.
Oh,
I don't know every state have their own things. But where I was, it was a small room.
Okay.
They have a certain number of people who can test at the same time.
Okay.
And once you go in there, the person is right there, and you go in there with nothing.
Okay.